What's up, gamers? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna introduce it like that. But yeah, welcome to Opinionated Bitch Fest #1. It's all about referees. So if you're wondering, well, if you're a subscriber, thank you. That's just what I want to say. I see we're at 14 today, so I'm a happy man. But this is kind of a new video style I want to do aside from the regular shitty looking cartoons that I do. Um, But yeah, if you're new to the channel, smash that motherfucking bell and like that video and shit. And I don't know, do what Ninja says. Um, but yeah, today we're going to be talking about referees. So part one is all about just becoming a ref. So when I started refing, I was, I think, like 13, 14. And it was for hockey. And my thinking was like, oh, I played hockey my whole life, and I know the rules, and you get paid $12 an hour. Which, let's be clear, uh, I swear when I started, minimum wage was like $9, which with inflation is probably fucking a lot higher now. But I'm not gonna get into that. But even $12 back then, it fucking wasn't worth it. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So to become a hockey ref, you basically just had to show up in the basement of this high school, and this hungover guy came in. And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to fucking be here, and this fucking sucks." And I was just kind of like, "Who the hell is this guy, and why is he teaching us how to ref hockey?" Which, to be fair, that should have been a red flag right there, and I should have just stopped being a ref right that day. But I kept pushing, and I was like, "I got to get that money." Um, like I said, it wasn't worth it, but we'll get there. So after a like 4 to 6 hour presentation of how to ref hockey, which they basically didn't really teach us anything. They kind of just said like, "Oh, you got to be careful when you're on the blue line. And this is where you got to stand when you're refing, and don't get in the way." And that was basically it. And they're like, "Here's a rule book. That'll be like $40. They make you pay for everything too, which is fucking bullshit. But it is what it is, I guess." And then after that, there was an ice session, and I don't even know what the fuck we did. I think we just skated around, and that was it. And then they throw you in the fire. All right, part two is crazy fucking people. So I'm sure you've all seen videos about parents, players, coaches, Zamboni drivers just going absolutely fucking bananas on the ref and just beating the shit out of them or something. And unfortunately, that is far too common in all sports. Like, I have spoken to umpires in baseball. I've had my fair share of experiences. Hell, like, even compared to my job now, where there is a high degree of conflict, I have not been abused verbally like I was when I was a ref. I have had so many grown ass people scream bloody murder at me, threaten that they're gonna kick my ass in the parking lot. At like 14, they were like, "You fucking suck, and I'm gonna kick your ass." And it's like a 40-year-old man, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is not worth the $12 an hour that they promised me. I can't believe it." But I kept chugging forward. So for a couple years, I refed, and I was just like, fuck it. I'd rather do this than work in a grocery store. But honestly, if if your choice is between a grocery store and refing, don't pick refing. It's not fucking worth it. Like, the only people that are in it are basically those who actually love the game, and even those people are starting to die out because I don't know. I mean, like, they're not dying. Well, maybe some of them are, but they're not dying out in the field of refing. They're just quitting because they're saying, "Fuck this, $12 an hour." Okay, I don't know. I keep saying $12 an hour. That's like one division. Like, you get paid in higher divisions. So like, NHL refs are getting paid obviously a decent amount, but that's different. But the problem is you have all these new people coming in like myself when I was 13, and they're immediately getting berated by fucking losers who have nothing better to do than to be overinvested in a 13-year-old or 12-year-old or 8-year-old's hockey game or lacrosse game or football game. And it's like, man, don't you have a fucking job and taxes to pay? Like, get a fucking life, man. I bet you the same pieces of shit who scream at refs all day in their kids' sports games or their grandson's sports games or granddaughter or whatever are probably the same ones being like, all these goddamn liberals don't want to work anymore. And it's just like, they are working. They're trying to ref and you're fucking abusing them. And the pay that these refs are getting is not good enough. And obviously every wage needs to get increased basically across the field, but that's beside the point. The point is, these crazy fucking douchebags are ruining the sport for everyone, and refs are exiting the field of officiating because making no money and chilling at home when you have a full-time job is better than making some side cash and getting screamed at for 3 hours on a weekend. You know, I have enough shit in my life to deal with. The last thing I want to do is go get some 60-year-old fucking man or woman or younger. There's assholes come in all shapes and sizes and ages. But that being said, whatever. Moving on. The last thing I need is these fucking assholes screaming at me, assaulting me, threatening me, and telling me I'm a piece of shit and I deserve to die. Like, that is the state of being a ref, is that you are just target number one for abuse and hate, and it's fucking terrible. And to be honest, we're never gonna see improvement in these refs that these people hate so much because they keep quitting and no one's ever learning from their mistakes. Like, yeah, refs aren't gonna make perfect calls every time. You know, they're gonna make mistakes. There's gonna be games where refs are bad, but you screaming at them and tell them that you're gonna chop their family up like some crazy serial killer. I'm laughing at that, but I honestly wouldn't doubt that some crazy fuck is threatening that to somebody. But doing that and threatening them and harassing these people is not the way that reffing is going to improve. We need to actually create a system where these refs feel like they can learn from their mistakes and not be vilified for it. So that leads us into part three, which is called support network. So when I say support network, I mean, what kind of supports do refs have? So we obviously know the job of reffing is not necessarily fun because you're just being yelled at the entire time. Um, and the pay's not good. And it's just bad overall. So does the, reffing, what does the reffing society do, for example? Well, when I was a part of this, basically what happened is there would be someone called an adjudicator that would come in. Basically, they're just giving you like a performance review, and they'd be like, they come in before the game and say, "Hey, I'm here to let you know, like I'm here to grade you on your reffing and tell you how good you are and how to improve." So kind of like how I mentioned previously, like we need to create a network of systems to help these people develop and become better referees. This is kind of like their solution to that. But instead of protecting you from the crazy fans, they just let you deal with it and say, "Here's your $12. See you later, asshole," and then they leave. I'm just kidding. They don't call you an asshole, but they might as well. It'd honestly be nicer than what they do. They basically, and during the period, they meet up with you and they're like, "Hey, you did a bad job. Uh, Here's how you fix it." And you're like, "Okay." And then you do it, and the next period they're like, "Okay, you're messing up here. You gotta fix this." It's like, "Okay." And then period 3 or 4, or however long your game is, they're like, "Okay, so this is like what you did good. This is what you did bad." So like I said, it's just a performance review, but generally these people are just any grown adult who has time on their hands to start reffing. And in my experience, they weren't very nice. They were just kind of like, "Hey, little boy, you fucking suck at reffing, and you should fucking be better at reffing. I hope this helps." And then they get up and leave. And I'd be like, "Fuck, I wish someone would actually teach me something, or like some skills or the rules or something." Because let's be real, 13, you're not gonna, buckle down and start studying to be a ref, because why the fuck would you when there's so much other shit to worry about in high school, right? Um, but yeah, that's basically this. And then the support system in regards to like if you get threatened or if you quit a game halfway through because you feel unsafe, they'll basically call you out and say, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. You should have ref the whole game, even though they were gonna burn your house down. Um, Dumbass. And then they just that's it. Like there's not really any support from the refing networks. I'm not saying that all refing networks are bad, but at least the ones that I've been in and the people that I've talked to, they have stated to me that they're not good, and there's just no real support for refs to one learn from their mistakes, or unless you're really dedicated to being a ref and you're studying your ass off. Like that's really the only way. And I guess that could be said for most fields, but I think a field like this where sports are meant to bring people together, and we can't have fair sports without some sort of official determining one, the flow of the game, but two, like the right and wrong outcomes in the game. So obviously if someone does something dirty, we need someone to like enforce the rules of the game so that everyone's safe and ultimately having fun. Because that's what it should be all about. But apparently when it's a child's hockey game, it's all about that W. All right, so part 4 is about the future referees. So this whole video basically is just, like I said, it's an opinionated bitch fest. Like, what do you want? Fucking peer-reviewed study? Up yours, buddy. Nobody's gonna fucking subscribe to my channel after this. That's fine though. But anyways, the future referees, I basically think it is going to die, and any referee who has any skill in refing can basically demand their price, because there's no fucking referees. I swear I have read a couple articles online that I'm not going to link because this is an opinionated video. It's not peer reviewed, okay? Like take all this with a grain of salt because I could be wrong about everything, and I don't care. Um, but I swear I've seen. I'm telling you, you got to believe me. I've seen articles where it has talked about referees that just said, "Fuck this, I'm not reffing anymore," and it has shut down the entire town's like sports system for children to play sports in, because these local refs are like, fuck no, you guys are all assholes, and the $12 an hour you're paying me isn't fucking enough to deal with the ass kicking I get in the parking lot every weekend from Tony's dad. That guy's a dick. But so these out of town refs come in, they get harassed and yelled at, and they drive back. So what ends up happening is these municipalities that are paying the refs, they're paying the refs also a driving rate. So it's costing you as a taxpayer more money because you're such a dickhead, Tony's dad, and you're beating the shit out of fucking the ref every weekend. And instead of doing that, you should just go to work and provide for your family and stop kicking the ass of the ref every weekend, because now your tax dollar is increasing every year because you got to pay for these guys' driving rates, and you got to pay for their meals. Because at least when I ref lacrosse, that was like how it was. You got paid for per kilometer, and you got paid dinner depending on when you're working. So think about that, Tony's dad. You fuck. But anyways, moving aside from Tony's dad, I think the referees are already bare bone in regards to people power, and they are going to become much slimmer in the future because there is just like nobody wants to go into a field where Tony's dad is always lurking around the fucking parking lot ready to beat the shit out of you. All right, part 5, it's summary time. So, what should you take away from this video? Well, it's an opinion, so you shouldn't really want to take away anything. But I would just ask, if you're one of these people who, like Tony's dad, likes to just beat up refs in the park. I don't know what I'm going back to Tony's dad. I just think it's really funny that this guy just beats up refs because he's just so angry. I don't know why I think that's funny, but anyways, if you're a douchebag though, whether you're a parent, a player, a coach, man, maybe you're a douchebag ref, whatever, doesn't matter. If you're just being a douchebag, turn it down a little bit, be a little bit nicer. Let's try to, if you're gonna give criticism, be a little more constructive, okay? There's enough shit that we gotta deal with in this world, okay? Climate change is gonna kill us. There's fucking wars everywhere, there's too much shit to deal with already. The last thing we need is no fucking sports, okay? If in 20 years there's no NFL refs and I can't play fantasy football, I'm gonna fucking find Tony's dad and kick his ass, all right? Because because if like seriously though, sports is supposed to be a fun, let's get together, have a good time. We'll watch Tony hit the ball, and then we'll watch Tony's dad beat up the ref after. We'll cheer him on. No, we won't cheer him on. We'll boo Tony's dad while he assaults the ref, and hopefully he gets arrested. Um, okay, I actually got to stop going back to that because that's fucking stupid. But anyways, you know what I'm saying. This is a group activity. It should bring people together, and it should bring communities closer. Because that's community is what life is really all about. Is being with other people and supporting your neighbor, um, and just being a good Samaritan. And if you're like Tony's dad and you're screaming at the ref, and you're just and they're especially if they're 15, like come on, man. It's a fucking little kid, and you're just screaming at him and berating him because he made a bad call. Like, grow the fuck up, get a life, and do something more interesting than just abuse children. Like, that is so fucking lame of you to do that. And it's kind of pathetic that people like that even exist. And I don't know if it's because they must have some sort of mental health issue, because I don't think I would go out and just start screaming at 15-year-olds because they made a bad call. Like, you made a bad call, okay, and like, who fucking, even if it was like a professional sports game, like, I have teams that I cheer for in the NBA and NFL, and there's been games where I've seen I'm like, I think this game was rigged. But guess what? I'm not gonna find the NBA ref and beat him up like Tony's dad loves to do. That's just fucking stupid. So be a little bit nicer to everyone. Let's work together. Let's try to improve together as a community, one step at a time, instead of just hating each other, because there's already enough of it in the world. So, you know, that's all I got to say today about on that. I just and if you liked it and you agree, smash that, like I said, smash that fucking like button like Ninja said. Just fuck that fucking button off. Fucking ding dong that goddamn bell. I want you to just start whipping the subscribe button as hard as you can. And leave a comment, and if you disagree, let me know. Like, tell me, if say, hey, these 15-year-olds deserve to be abused. Let me know if that's what you think. Like, let's have a dialogue. So, thank you.